Yes, but after much travel, I had to go 40 miles to get this to go for you. Went back and got the good camera, and it gave me a fit to get started anyway. But we're up and going now. It should be okay. Let me know in the chat box if we're streaming in landscape. Get the mic up here. I think we're okay. And if not, okay. All right. So the plan for today, before we got rudely interrupted with all this nonsense, is to get a canopy on my airplane, and John is gonna slot some flaps for me. I'm gonna use his system of flap, my hinges, and his system of the pin. I mean, it's a really good idea.
Nothing new.
Yeah, it's
been done before.
One wire goes all the way through the whole flap. It may have been done before, but I don't think it's been done like this, has it?
Well, probably not exactly. It's a variant. It's a good way to do things if you can get the materials. I mean, we're lucky enough to have a shop that's got a supply of carbon fiber tubing and various whatnot pieces, and
keep it canopy and carbon. All right, so are we streaming in landscape now instead of portrait? Please let me know so I don't get aggravated. It was a 40-mile trip to get this straightened out. 20 there, 20 back. So John has made some tools here. It's some kind of saw blade.
really, I took some little saw blades from Harbor Freight. You buy this little package of 4 or 5 little circular saw blades, about 2 inches in diameter and smaller. And I just stacked them. I bought a couple sets of these things. They were only like $3 for 6 of these little blades, all different sizes. And then I bought 2 packages of them. I took 2 of the biggest blades and made them the outside pieces. And then I took a couple of the blades and stacked them inside until I got the right thickness. Basically made a dado blade for a Dremel tool with an 1/8 inch arbor. And then I made this little, I've got a router base for my Dremel, so I made this little router table piece, basically like for my Dremel router base, and it just screws to the bottom and the blades stick out on the top, and then this fence can be adjusted in and out.
What did you do? Just screw it to the to
yeah,
the table?
I screwed it to the edge of the wood here on the table. And so, yeah, I just screwed that. This just a little MDF board. Pretty basic. And then I bought one of these little cheap Harbor Freight table saw things.
Micro Mark.
I actually got this from Harbor Freight, and it's really a piece of crap. But I modified it all up, and I got some carbon or some carbide tooth saw blades for it, which makes it cut a little bit better. It's not much better, but makes it cut a little bit better. But they were about $3 or $4 a piece. And so I stacked them up like a dado blade on this little thing. 2 blades, the little blades on there stacked up makes the slot just perfect for a piece of 1/8 inch plywood hinges that Sparky uses. And this this router table was set up to where it's the same diameter as this carbon fiber tube that I found at the hobby shop. It's a real little teeny stuff. It's about a 1/16 of an inch or so OD. And it's a tube, it's hollow. And then I got a piece of music wire that fits perfect down in there. That will run for a continuous hinge, or they also make a rod, a carbon fiber rod. So a solid rod is the same idea as this tube, that you could actually put a piece of that in, and a bearing, you know, a piece of music wire, a piece of that, if you wanted to lighten it up even more and not have removable flaps. But we're making these removable. So what we first do is, while he's using 3/8 of an inch flap stock here, and what I would normally do is cut the shape of my flaps out of this first, but since he's only going to get one flap out of a piece anyway, we'll just rip a groove down the whole length of this piece and glue that tubing in there, and then fill it with wood, and then we'll come back through and then just cut it where we notch it where we want to hinge at. So the process is pretty simple. I guess we can just
It's on. It's plugged.
dado this groove out of this wood right now. Let's look at the grain in this and everything.
Cut
It's
this.
straight, twisted or anything. Pretty good. Pretty straight. Good. So we'll make a little noise here, and we'll route this, we'll dado this out. Always check, make sure that you're still centered. This is pretty centered. It hasn't moved on me, so. One problem with this little setup here is because I got different size saw blades, it leaves a little chunk of wood in here, which we just take a single edge razor blade and run down through there and just break that out of there real nice and flush. It's just a whisper of a piece of wood left in there. But if I had 3 blades the same size, it wouldn't leave that in there. But it's not that big of a deal. Let's go ahead and cut this other piece.
Got a little warp right there.
Now you're going to cut 6 or 8 inches off of it. This edge of the wood looks like it's better for the majority. See, you got this hard spot that runs down through here. Let's do this edge right here. Do one more of these. Okay, so now let's go down through here and break that little piece out of there. The reason why I use the single edge razor blade, because I'm sort of scraping the bottom of this groove a little bit to make sure I get any remnants of this out, because it will affect if it sits down in there all the way. And it takes a minute or two to run down through here and do this.
Where's the other one? There's only one here.
There's two of them there.
What I'm doing with this carbon rod is scuffing it with 180.
Yeah, you want to get any kind of mold release that might be on it off and scratch up the surface a little bit.
One. I only see one. Okay, we got any chatters? Nope. Are we streaming in landscape?
That little piece is so thin that's left over in there. It's just literally nothing.
We got 2 thumbs up. We got 4 watchers now. I guess 5 watchers. Are we streaming in landscape? Is the picture okay? It costs 40 miles to get this fixed.
One piece.
Yep, it's all good. Thank you, Michael. Tell you what, I'm not happy with this iPhone. Picture is fine. Mark Lego or leg.
Thanks, Mark.
Yeah, it is normal. Alexander.
Yeah, it took a little time this morning to get things going. But
We'll just mark the hinges the same as this wing here, because this is the wing that my next airplane will be built with.
okay.
But
See, because I didn't have 3 saw blades in there, and three of these saw blades, the big ones might be too much, might be too wide, but the way I stacked them up in here with the different size of saw blades, it worked fine, but just left that little bit in there. Really nothing to get out of there. Not rocket science. Okay, so we got these things done. Make sure you look down in the groove and you didn't leave any of that down in there. Because this tube is metric and Roberts, the wood is American. Got different lengths here, which is fine. Just leave it over. Now I just took this and set this square up here to where it's got that tube down in there, and that just run that down here like that. That just assures that tube's in the bottom of that groove all the way down through there. Now it's nothing more than just running some super glue down in there
You don't
As
think
normal, it's plugged up.
you don't think medium would be better?
Well,
Put the medium in first, then set the tube in.
you could, but what I found out, and I did that on ones like the first ones that I made, I don't think it's really needed. We can do that if you want to.
No, that's fine.
What you got to do is you got to wipe out all the excess that gushes out of there. It's hard to control how much you got down in there, which this just wicks in there and dissipates, and you really don't have anything. You know, you've hardened up the wood, you've glued it in. Now on the second piece that I put in there, I would use the thicker stuff on it just to fill up any gap. And we'll put another piece of wood in here in the end, capture all that stuff in there. So, I don't know. Sorry about that.
A lot of work for a flap, but it does make my hinges work better. I've told the story several times. I talked when I was talking to Dan Winship. He concurred with me about the same time. It's been about 30 years ago, I guess, 25 or 30 years ago, where this idea is not mine. I don't know whether it's mine or not. The concept is Ron O'Toole's. And he told Dan the same procedure that he told me 30 years ago, standing on the L pad. And Dan had no clue what he was talking about. And it just took me 20 years to realize, you know, it's very hard to envision something. You ever tried flashing them and then pressing them to cure? I don't know what that means. But Dan said that he couldn't figure out what he was talking about either.
You know, these are actually a scale type hinge.
Yeah. It just came to me sitting on the couch one day. I went, hey, I know what he was saying.
I think Keith Trossel did this too.
Have you ever tried flashing them and then pressing them to cure the same way as team race wings? Oh, glassing. No, I don't want to. No. I'm not an outraged proponent of super stiff flaps where you got to put 3 ounces of fiberglass and Aeroshaft leading edge and all that other business. So, I mean,
we're not actually using this tube for any kind of a structure per se. It carries the wire.
Yeah, it's just a wire.
It
right?
makes a chase down the leading edge of the flap to carry the wire. The bearing surface that the hinges actually work on is the wire itself. The music wire itself has nothing to do with this. There's no movement of that wire in this. It doesn't rotate or anything like that with the hinge. The hinge rotates on the wire. So all this is a chase. You can slide that wire in and out. It makes a perfect chase. It's in there. It's set right now. It's not going anywhere. It's glued in there. Just give that, I put a good bit of thin super glue. I want that glue to sort of wick down through there and glue that in real good. So I did it down both sides of that so it hardens up all the way around that little carbon fiber tube. Now we'll get a piece of wood, and it takes a piece of 1/8 inch wood that makes almost a perfect 1/8 inch slot.
Like
down
this
through
piece
there.
here?
Like that piece right there.
Yeah, it's good. Took it off the.
I probably got another one over there somewhere.
Yeah, you got 4 of them.
Ain't that wonderful? I got this stuff pre-made. Now this is a little oversized, and I did that for a reason, so that you could super glue it down in there and push it down in there, not glue your hands to it very easy, and then when it's dry, you can come back through and just razor blade off the excess.
Now, this will be fine because it's full length. It's distributing the load over the whole flap. But if we were just distributing the load over the hinge area, it would be best to put it end grain.
Yeah, by all means. I'm sorry, I got to take my my Jordan Aero Company shirt off. Too hot. Too hot. But anyway, let's get back to this.
That's a great hairdo.
Yeah, I like that one. That's a good one, I bet.
Kind of like mine. When I take my hat off, my hair stands straight up.
This is just gap filling medium glue. And we're just going to do the same thing we did with the thin super glue, only this time we'll use this medium stuff.
You RC guys, make sure you check for the Dauntless build. Because I'm going to show how to scratch build a RC airplane.
Now what I do, before this cures 2 minutes, is I make sure that I got this down there nice and even. Run that rod up and down through there real quick. No, I can't use that. It's not the right stuff. Is there a piece of 332nd over there ripped down like that?
No, well, no. This might be a little thinner. I don't know.
That's 8 inch. A little thick. I better use 332nd. Got some there.
The reason why John came up with this idea of taking these flaps on and off is he wanted to be able to finish the inside of the groove. I don't have a problem with how I've been doing it, but I do see the advantage of having removable flaps. So if I'd have had removable elevators on my Monado, it would have been a simple fact to just pull a pin and make a new set. But we had to cut those off.
This is one with the 2 glued in it. I'll put another straight edge on here since I cut that freehand.
Let's see what they're saying here. Glassing, still on the same comment, glassing. Stiffens the flap up some.
Oh yeah. Whenever you start laminating things, you start adding
Weight.
Yeah, you add weight. You also add stiffness, so a little bit of that doesn't hurt. And you gotta realize, Robert's one of the most weight conscious persons that I've ever known in my entire life, and he's got a point. Light airplanes fly better. Right now, I'm just wiping the excess super glue off, douched out. And when I'm cutting this off, and I trim it right up flush as I can get, because this edge is going to be rounded over. But I lay that X-Acto knife way down low level, and it's easy. You don't end up going into your main flap wood as bad.
You have one of mine in here. I think that groove could have been a little deeper. There's one. Maybe not. That's right. I was looking for the round over tool. I can't find it.
Perfect. Perfect.
80 ounces. This is a 12.
Did you already run one of them sanders up and down this?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You can round this over right now and then cut it, or you can cut it with a square. If you're uncertain of how deep you're going to cut these slots, go ahead and round it over first and then cut them, and that'll make them the right depth. If you cut them first and then round it over, you can actually make it to where you didn't inset this to the right depth. So what I do is I do two things on this, and I just barely took that sandpaper down that edge, and I cut that so flush that it just took a couple swipes to get it just perfectly flush. I take a magic marker and I run a witness line down the center of this flap.
Didn't you have a pair of scissors that were curved?
No, I don't have a curved pair. And I make it a little bit wide, like a double wide line. And that's just so I got a good solid center line mark on there. Now it's not actually acting as a center line, but it is. What it's used for is a sanding guide. And because I already sanded this flush, I don't want to sand this any deeper than flush. The reason being that it changes the inset of your hinges. What happens is when I take this little tool that I made this specifically for sanding this leading edges. I find it here. Made these things in a couple different sizes, you know, 1/2 inch, 5/8, 3/8, quarter. Just brass tubing, cut a little less than halfway ramp, and then I soldered another little piece of tubing on it for a handle. So basically all this is just a little sanding. Put sandpaper on the inside, just take this down through here, and it takes a little bit. It'd go faster if you didn't give me 15-pound wood to work with here.
Yeah.
I'm gonna speed this up a little bit.
Let me get something to work. This is something. It looks like I scratched up the nose of it. Damn.
The line's still pretty solid, and if you feel that, you can feel there's still a little flat right there on it. So we're going to keep going until we get that flat out of there. And you'll see the lines start to disappear. In there.
See that scratch on this right here? Do you think your buffer will take that off?
I don't know. How do you manage that one?
It's just real hard to cut with the scissors and straight.
You gotta use short scissors.
These are short.
No, you gotta use short scissors. I don't have any canopy scissors, but getting there.
Well, that will work. Just bummed that it. Maybe if I do this on the disc, I can do it home.
Yeah, it's nice and rounded over now, but yet the line's still there. So we're using that line as a sanding guide so you don't sand too deep. It's starting to get a little lighter in color, so you know you're getting right down there to it. We're right there. We're right. We'll finish it off after. We'll go ahead and notch it now. We'll finish it off a couple more swipes.
You know what? Come to think of it, when I clear this thing, that'll go away.
Oh yeah, it will. I've taken and sanded them where you can't even see through them, and they just turn clear. That Bearcat was like that. It was on my RC car bodies. You know, if you want to look at finishing canopies, just look for an RC car body. Video, and they'll show you.
Here's a tip for you guys who are going to dye your canopy. You can't cut it loose from its frame until after you dye it.
So true. That's good.
Perfect. Perfect.
That's good right there.
See? Does that look good?
Yeah. Looks big. Of course, you got to use those big pilots, so.
Right.
Okay, just that quick. We've got one pretty much done there with just a little bit of touch up to do.
Need a little more sanding
This one right here. Just so you know that I didn't take the same path down this every single time. The first path I had this over here at a great angle, and then I tilted it up a little bit more for second pass, and the third pass I tilted it up a little bit more. And did just 3 passes down each side of it. And that just takes and starts your rounding over process, so you don't have to, you know, use this little sander as much. And I always just do this in one big stroke and do about 3 or 4 strokes, turn it around and do it the other way, because you can either let up on one end or you don't reach it good enough. So do 3 strokes, turn around, do the other way, and you make it more uniform. This is about 120 grit sandpaper inside of this. Just count the strokes you do.
This is going to be a very hard canopy to glue on.
Okay, I did 6 that way, and I turn it around and do 6 this way because it comes down on the side so far.
There we go. Yep, I'm happy with that, except I just dented the crap out of my fuselage back there.
You're gonna notch it out there anyway, aren't you?
Yeah, but I dented it the wrong spot. I'll have to fix it.
Well, super fill.
No, super sand. Right. Break out the sanding paper. Easier or lighter to sand than it is to fill.
Very true. Need to, you can squirt it with a little water and hit it with a hot iron, and your dents and dings will come right out real easy that way.
Came out real easy just like that. This all has to be tissued and painted before I can do anything anyway. At least I got the canopy cut. Okay, I wanted to cut them wires off. Okay, let's see what the chatters. We got 12 watchers, 5 thumbs up. Hit that like button, folks. What happened to my crutch? It gave me a crutch.
It's over there, in front of your airplane. Close, still got a solid line. You haven't sanded into the line yet.
Now, as you're watching that, that's my new airplane there. This is my new airplane here. Can you see it? I can see it.
Right on the verge of starting to take that line off there. Right on the verge, we're right there. That's about equal with the other one. This is going to take a little bit more sanding. What this does, this will leave an edge right here. And what you'll have to do is you'll have to take a sanding block and do one of these numbers. And that'll take that little edge off, because this little thing, it only sands so far and you don't want to roll it. So it leaves a little pointy, no, I couldn't say pointy, but a definite little edge there. And to make that blend in real smooth, just take a sanding block, sort of go over real nice like this, and it'll just a couple swipes and it'll just blend that in. You won't see a definitive line in your flap there because of that.
Now, most guys, this is for my hinging system. This is not for the plastic plate hinges.
No.
The plastic plate hinges, you draw a line and you cut a 45 on both sides. But I'm using a pocket hinge style setup.
And this is a completely rounded, half round leading edge.
And if they say, well, it'll leave a gap. It does not leave a gap, hinge line gap. That's why I'm
No, it fits tight. You can even see it on my airplane right here. It fits tight and it rotates around that pin and it stays tight no matter how much deflection that you have in that. There's still, you don't see a gap. If it is, it's less than a piece of a paper. Now we got to mark these hinges exactly where he wants these things, and it has to be a fine mark. So you can do one of two things. You can put a piece of tape and mark on the tape, or you can mark on the wood with a pencil or something, but I want the exact width of the hinges that's in the airplane.
1/8 inch.
It might be an 1/8 inch, but they got to be in the same exact spot that you want them in, because
I need a ruler. See, with the flaps built first, I can just set the hinge blocks to match the hinges.
right. I had my holes already drilled in my wing, so I did it the opposite way.
Yeah.
I put the wood up to the hinges that were in the wing and then marked each one of the hinges. So either way, it's the same thing. Ends up with the same result.
8.5. Okay.
excess wood rod on the ends of
You want me to put tape on this or not?
You don't have to if you can draw a real fine little line.
Eight and a half and 8.5 is 17, right?
Yep.
Don't cut this one. Just these three right here. Where's that other flat? We'll match them.
Let me set my little saw up here. This thing barely cuts balsa wood, but it will cut plywood. The most gutless little saw I've ever seen.
I had one and threw it out. Got mad
I
at
was
it.
going to throw it out, and I did, and I'm sort of glad I didn't, because now I've got
There, you can use this.
this little bugger.
Just use this one.
Can I use that?
Yeah.
For just a minute or two.
Yeah.
I gotta clamp this little thing down a little. Move around too much. So you want that, and that.
Yep.
These are right, that one, and that one.
Yep. Need some oil on that,
Oil on what?
on the slide.
Oh yeah, wax. It's not that. It would make it not grab. There's a little slots. You know, they should allow just enough clearance on the back side of that barrel so that when the hinge pin is in there, you got just a little clearance on this back side of the barrel.
Cut them off.
Let's do that on my grandma.
Were you saying something about drilling this down here or something?
What I had to do on mine was what I'm doing here, and we can probably turn what we're going to do here is what I did with mine was I took all these inside edges here and hardened them up with a thin CA. And what sometimes it does is it'll wick in that hole a little bit. So I ground a flat on the end of the piece of music wire that I'm going to use as a hinge. And then I ran that down through there, hooked to a drill, and it sort of acted like a drill bit, and it cleaned out that little bit of super glue that might wick up in there. And I did have a couple that were it wicked up in there pretty good. Capillary action, man, it went to town. But I don't know if you can see that, but you see that little hard edge right there that rounding over tool left. And just a couple swipes with a sanding block will taper that right into there without hurting anything. So the next step would be what I would do with these is I would harden up all these points right now.
Go ahead.
And get them solid. That way, you know, it's when you're moving these things around, they're prone to damage. You're prone to denting these or bending them too far. These things will go 90 degrees as it is. But when you're handling them, go ahead and get that while you can. Do a couple coats of super thin CA. Before finishing them, and lightly sand them. You'll be good to go then.
I'm gonna use the Dremel and cut off my axles.
Now, I'm not trying to actually touch the super glue to that hole.
What happened here? We've been on almost an hour now. Took 2 hours to get started.
Yeah.
see what this turd weighs. Get the canopy on there.
Dry a little.
$75 ounces.
My God, and you still got 15 and a half ounces of paint to go on it.
Yeah. 15.5.
All right. I think this first one that we did.
I can't tell which is which here. 16 and 16 is 32. And 15 is 47, right? 32 and 15 is 47. Let's put the canopy on. It'll go up to 48, I bet. Yep, 3 pounds. 16 is 32, 48 ounces. 48 and 6 is,
You do the Dremel tool.
I got it over here. 48 and 6 is what? 8 and 6 is 15. No, 14. 54. 54, 55, because I gotta add a pilot. 55. Oh, I gotta get the tail wheel on it.
Yeah, well, you gotta allow for glue and fill in.
55. That's 1 gram, or 1/10. 55. Yeah, we're gonna come in under 60 with this. I'll be real happy. As long as I don't stand next to the paint gun.
Yeah.
Now is when you can kill your airplane.
Very easily. What I did was I just drilled or ground a taper, a square edge, but a beveled on the end of that piece of music wire. It's going to act like a little drill bit, scraper.
Yes, indeed. That'll be cool.
I need a little hand here. A second. Line that up to that hole and start in that hole.
Okay.
All right, next.
Glue still ain't dry.
Yeah, it's still got a little residual moisture left in it.
Spin that one again. Go in again. It's dragging pretty good. I can always spin it up at home.
You can do that by yourself. I did it by myself on mine. So just to make sure them holes are cleaned out. Gotta have a wire get down in there. Don't matter if it's a little snug.
Yeah, after a few flights it'll loosen up.
It'll
I need to give you that bottle of dry slide that I got too. Well, it's real tight. What's going on there?
wire's not bent out.
Yeah, just the wire that you just put in there, it just gets to that hinge and don't want to go.
Well, let's take let's see if there's another piece of wire. Make another one just long enough to reach that hinge.
We don't have many chatters today. I guess nobody's interested in what we're doing. No super chats and no chatters. Yeah. Come on, guys. I drove 40 miles to bring this to you today. Making a drill bit?
Yeah, that's basically what I did with the other one. This is a wire for my hinges. I just put that drill up.
And the reason being is that this is thinner wire.
No.
Sure looks thinner. Where's your caliper?
5.2, 5.3. 5.2, 5.3. It just barely fits that carbon tube.
Turn around in circles. Turn around in circles a couple more times.
All I need to do is be holding the treat above my head. Which one?
We do both of them.
I can't see. Hold it tight.
We did it before the super glue was dry. My finger stuck right there.
Yeah. I settled it in there. It's pretty good. I want it to soak down in the grain. You might have to do this a couple times. You know, you're going to sand that out of there, and then you're going to put another coat of super glue on it. You may have to come back by and do that again. So keep your little homemade drill bit, which will be your actual hinge that you'll use in the long run, handy. Don't kink that wire.
Okay. Oh, that's nice. That's freed up. That's good. That's not good. Little globule on that.
Take that sandpaper to it again. Sand it off of it.
Now you want to loosen them up and just sand this wire.
I did that once. I got all that black manufacturing crud off of it. That wire doesn't have to spin in there. You got to realize all that is that's an axle, a fixed axle for your brass bushing and your hinges. So that wire does not have to spin in there. In fact, it's probably better that it doesn't. The biggest thing meaning that a carbon fiber tube that's in there is not a very good bearing for a bearing surface. Carbon's not real good for that purpose. You know, you need brass or bronze or something in there for an actual bearing. But this is not meant to be a bearing. It's just a guide for the axle. So all it has to do is hold the axle in place, and that's what it's doing in there. And it's sandwiched in there amongst all sorts of hardened wood.
Okay, explain your hinges, your setup here to Mike. He didn't. It's just an easier way to use my hinges.
It's just his hinges that with a removable hinge, so that you can take these things apart to finish them. This has just got a piece of carbon fiber rod in it right now, but now I can take that hinge off and I can finish it. I can finish down in these grooves, sand them all the way through clear. The last minute, stick them on there, run the pin in there, a little teeny screw out here on the end. Or I think there was one guy that was just putting a little L-bend on the end of it and sticking it in a hole, and then he just pulls it out of that hole and then slides it out of there, so he doesn't even have the screw on the end of it. But that way the flaps come off and you're free to finish everything. So that's the big thing of making these like this. Way Robert was doing them to begin with was these had a little short music wire axle in here that the hinge rotated around on. And he cut a slot in these and filled it with ingrain wood, which is a good bearing. Well, I replaced all that with just a slot down the center line of this edge. That's just, it's the depth of halfway on his hinge.
3/16
plus the thickness of this little carbon fiber tube. Deep. So I cut the trough in there. I had like a dado blade set up with my Dremel tool, and cut the trough in there, and then I glued this in there, and then I put a piece of wood in on top of this to fill in all the rest of it. And I took all my little sanding tool and I sanded this edge round. I put a pencil line on this first so I know how far to sand. If I start sanding that pencil line off, then I'm getting down in there too far and I'll be past the halfway point of his hinge. So I want to stop before I get there. Otherwise, if you sand too much, you end up with a gap here because the hinge won't go back any further than the pin. So you'll end up, just pulling this off the surface basically is what you're doing by sanding too much off this. So right now, it sits like that, and this thing will turn 90 degrees, and you can't hardly see daylight. I mean, it's so tight that you really can't see daylight, and it stays that way throughout the entire range of movement. It's really pretty simple, It just allows me to take these off so I can finish. That was the only thing that I didn't. I like the hinges. They work free. They're nice.
Way better than cleat or Kevlar or.
Yeah, I put that in there. That's in there. Very free hinge. It's got an added benefit too. This control horn that goes in here in the center of your wing, I made these long enough. Well, they're just sort of whatever length they came. You can push these out here, and you can make sure that the center line of this whole bearing surface for this wire is right on the center line of this wire. This is your guide. So you make absolutely sure that everything's one straight line from one end of the thing to the other, which makes it nice. And then you can massage these however you like to get them in and out, up, down, however they need to go to get them exactly centered in there. So when you put your control horn in there, you know that everything's right there, and you'll get just what you want. You want floppy hinges. I'm taking for granted these aren't actually glued in there yet, but they will come out of there. But they can you can put them in there like that right now. I'll wait until I get my tissue on here, my tissue and stuff on my flaps and everything, and then glue these in, because then that will set the gap. Because right now, if I put it in tight and you put all that stuff in there, you're going to be too tight. So you want to leave everything loose until you get covered and get into the finish process, at least up through your color paints. And then you can come through and glue these hinges into the main wing. Just put them in their flap, slide them in there, butt them up. If you want to, take a piece of paper and put down in there in a couple spots, and it's probably not necessary.
I wouldn't do that. No.
I wouldn't even do that. It just leaves an extra gap in there. I just
tight you can get it.
Put them in there. Don't press them. Don't force them. Just put them in there where they're snug, where they're just touching. Let them dry. Good to go.
The nice thing about my hinges, you can epoxy them in, you can super glue them in, you can use white glue, because it's wood to wood.
The way these are cut also, we tried different ways. We tried a little sanding jig and everything to sand these cutouts in here, and I always ended up with them too wide. And they might be at an angle a little bit. They might be at an angle a couple different directions. And so when you put it all together, then they bind. And then you're correcting them. Then you correct them and makes the slot wider and all that stuff. By cutting this on the saw, makes everything really uniform. And then as soon as you cut them, take and harden up all them edges with super glue so they can't go anywhere. So you're square every direction that you need to be square. And when you put it together, you should have a pretty much flawless control system, at least that part of it.
You do your elevators the same way.
Yeah, you can do your elevators the exact same way. To me, it makes sense. It makes it an easier setup. A little bit of jig time. Making a jig to, actually you're not really making a jig. You're sort of making dado blades for small things. which I think I got some here. I might be able to find them. I didn't cover them up. Here they are. Harbor Freight sells a package of these little circular saw blades. It comes with 3 or 4 different size blades.
They come with the arbor?
Yeah, I think it even come with the arbor. Little arbor. Can they see that? Get these.
Oh yeah.
There's one saw blade that's bigger than this. This is what I got on here. I bought 2 packages of this. So it come with 1, 2, 3, 4 different size blades in each package. And I think they're less than $5, I think. So I got 4 things. I took the 2 biggest blades, and maybe there were 5 blades in there, and 2, I think, of the next size blade, or 1 of the next size blades. So I didn't have 3 of the biggest blades, and I made a dado cutter. And that's what I used. I just started stacking them blades up until they came out to be the same OD as this little carbon fiber tube. And then I took a piece of scrap wood and I started playing with it until I got it centered on that piece of scrap 3/8" wood, and adjusted that up and down until I got it centered, and then locked it all in at that. And then I set the depth. You know, it's like a little miniature router table. Sort of set the depth of how deep I wanted to cut. And once I got that adjusted, how deep I needed, then locked that in, and then just ran my wood right through there, and that made that nice groove down the leading edge of it. Glue that in, glue your filler piece of wood in, trim it off, good to go. There ain't nothing. If you're a woodworker, you know, the guy, woodworker kind of guy, knows what I'm talking about when it comes to dado blades and that kind of stuff. It's just a blade to cut a slot in the wood for a shelf or whatever, cabinet making. Pretty simple stuff. It's just small.
Well, Alexander, I thought it was better, so that's why I'm going to swap over to that system. He had another system that I tried that I didn't like that at all. But this one here looks to be pretty good.
Well, the other system, you only had a 1/16 of an inch bearing surface in there, and that I didn't like that either. I wanted a wider bearing surface, so by insetting this, I guess you could use a little teeny piece of aluminum tubing instead of this carbon. We just so happen to have this carbon, but a piece of aluminum tubing that diameter, you could run that in there. It just makes a nice chase to run that wire down through there and make those removable. So, teach your own, 1,000 ways to skin the cat.
Break out your soldering gun. Solder this tail wheel on.
Break out soldering gun.
I'm going to mix up some superfill and put the next coat of superfill in the fillets. That's too. While I'm here and I can see. We need some of them little washers.
Not asking for much, are you?
No.
My unobtainium brass washers.
Man, I should have brought this one here. Is loose on there. Oh, well, that'll be fine. I guess we could push it. No, you can't because then it would glue.
How bad is it? It'll roll free, that's for sure. It won't sit there and be all locked up.
These are brass bushed. Did you see my brass eyelets in there?
No, but
Can you hear them?
piece of grass tubing.
Them wheels are light. Them are lighter than the nice wheels we use.
Well, you need 2 washers on here. You need one for
Right.
this. You did what you didn't put on before you put it in there. Would have been a lot easier. You need to set that thing up on the edge so you're not dripping solder all over it.
I need the pliers and I need to straighten it.
So,
Nothing for step work. I bet this was plier.
this piece of coat hanger.
Yeah. There, that's better.
Clean up some of the shop a little bit.
This airplane is 48 ounces, including the canopy. I'm ready to go fly it.
Yeah, if it was electric, you could.
So we got 48, 49, 50, 51, and 6 is 57. We'll say 58. I should be able to hit under 60. But then the mystery ounces will kick in.
Yep. And they'll do it too. Are you done using that sanding stick?
Oh, yeah. Go. Well, which way do you want to? I guess we'll do it this way first. Put a piece of washer on, then put a piece of wood on it, solder the washer, and then turn it the other way.
I need another piece of towel down there.
Here, take this. Never enough room.
You got to put everything up as you use it. That's all there is to it.
So I need a piece of balsa wood, about ½ inch square. Scrap. Now this is probably work right here. Right here. need a little bit of sort. And we'll make it, let's see here. And we'll just use it, I'll just force it in there. Yeah, these are, this one's 5.2, so it's the same weight as my flaps. Ones we just did, same. So I gave you choice wood. Got any stay bright?
Nope. Don't use the stuff. Do not use it. Don't need it. Sorry, iron's back in that corner somewhere.
Okay. Did you have two of them?
Yeah.
We need to go to a train shop or maybe look online.
This was a variety pack, and I got it from what's this place that's out of business now. Can't remember the name of the place now. These are little solid brass washers. They're not plated or anything like that. They're actually solid brass. Real little teeny weeny things.
Alcohol.
Or,
Cleaning this off.
oh, you're not going to use that, are you?
I get a
That's
new
off
one.
the soldering iron. And that other bottle of alcohol is under the table. Clean the washers off too if you can. Find a piece of wood. Where's that?
Man, these are tiny.
Yeah, they're little.
I got it right here. We're all set up. Except for that washer won't go on. hole's not big enough.
You got a burr on the end of that thing or something?
Nope. This is, I use that 16th inch hole. This is a little bit bigger than 16th inch. So now I'm filing the inside of this washer out.
Good luck. Don't drop one of them little boogers, you never find them.
No way.
All right, well, good. Let's see something here now. The problem with these little brass washers, the next size is a lot bigger hole because it's the hole that one punched out of. Yeah, it's the side you got right there already.
What about that one right there?
Same size.
No, that hole's bigger. You can't see that? Okay. Let's see here. I think there's one there. Yeah. Right. Now getting it out of there. Got it. Okay. You see that?
That was the washers I was trying to get.
Yeah. I'll look online for some train washers or something. This is not the problem. The problem is the other side.
Yeah. I don't have any plastic to worry about here. Biggest thing is don't touch it, don't blow on it, don't move it, don't do anything. Let it air cool. And heat the wire up first before you apply the solder to it. And it should come out relatively shiny. It always crystal up a little teeny bit, but long as you don't touch it until it cools off. Piece of coat hanger. Worked out pretty good. You put them other washers back out?
Yep. How much time do you think I got building this airplane now?
Hard to say.
6 months?
6 months, yeah, anyway. 6 months for sure.
6 months, an hour a day is, let's see, it's 30, 180 hours, probably 200 hours in. Maybe more, 220.
I don't know, it's hard to say with you, hour-wise.
Well, I was doing an hour a day, but on Saturday and Sunday, I put in the time. But here, I don't consider this working on it.
Yeah, did you do any work on it after we were off, besides
Oh,
the
yeah.
hour a day, you got to take that into account too, that's probably almost as much time as your hour a day thing is. Because I know there was little touch-ups and stuff that you'd be sitting there looking at it and couldn't stand looking at it and jump up there and do something. All right, that's cool enough there. This is a used tail wheel, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one that was on my profile. I got 4 or 5 more of them, but new ones. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do the superfill on this rack here and get this molded in a little better. Let's see, we got 14 and 8. Okay, I'll catch you later, Mike. Back, fence fix, keep the dog in.
This will work better.
$200.
Only way you think. That's for sure.
I like my shotgun cowl.
You
definitely went different. I told you you need to get it a little bit different. Change it up a little bit. You definitely did that. I need some of that flux over there. Right behind you.
Put it on, take it off. Put it on, take it off.
Yeah.
I need another soda.
Nature of the beast.
Huh?
Nature of the beast.
What are we gonna do for lunch? Let's see, we got Taco Bell, Arby's, Wendy's. We did Wendy's last week. $15.09. Hit that thumbs up button, guys.
Everybody keeps ovaling out their wheels when they solder on wheels like this. Don't touch everything until it cools down and you won't over that hole out real bad. It's when you try to mess around with them too much while they're hot, you run into problems.
You're done soldering, right?
Done soldering.
I'm going to mix up some superfill and we'll get that starting to dry before lunch. Okay. I thought I brought some popsicle sticks. I didn't. You got some, right?
I should have some. I should have.
Oh yeah, we got lots of them here. 1,000. Well, it was 1,000.
Starting to get used up.
What?
Starting to get used up.
Where'd you get these? Walmart?
Hobby Lobby. I think that's where I got them at. It's the only place I could find that big giant box at, because that's the only way I'll buy them, because they cost too much. You buy the little packages.
Oh, Walmart, I get, a bundle like that.
You see what Craig was saying about acid brushes in Australia? $30 for like 25 or a bag of 25 or something like that. $30.
Shit, we need to send him some. Harbor Freight, $5 for 100.
Yeah, well, that's what he was saying. He was going by Harbor Freight prices. He said, yeah, you can get them at Harbor Freight for this, but over here they cost $30 for 100 of them, or whatever Harbor Freight now is. I gotta get some of this shit up off the floor. Cracking it all over the place. Sorry, vacuum sweeper noise.
told me to turn these over upside down. You know, keep rotating. Well, I've done that. Now all the ammonia is on the other side, so now we'll stir it together. Darker spots there, that's, I think that's the active agent. This stuff smells like the cat peed on the floor. But it's just so good you can't help but use it. Let's see just how heavy this stuff is. I'm going to take this little something there. Ah, I see. Craig says he bought 3/8 paint brushes from China instead of acid brushes. $10 for 100. Harbor Freight won't ship to Australia. That's alright, you didn't need that Chinese crap anyway. We're gonna weigh, I'm gonna weigh Superfill to see what it weighs. I did the cardinal sin.
You better get every bit of that out of there. You'll be sorry.
Yeah, I didn't get much in there, but
it'll harden that whole thing up. Don't ask how we know. I guarantee you, after you waste a whole bunch of that stuff, it'll make a believer out of you.
okay, I got it.
I'll get right back. A little bit.
Okay, as I've stated, this is not a science project or anything, just 2 to 1. I think I've done this before. I think I've weighed this stuff before, but I can't remember. Matter of fact, I know I have. So now, I just eyeball 50% of this. That's about right. And if it's not, oh well. Let's see what it weighs. It was 3/10. That's pretty stout. That's 1 ounce worth of 1 ounce of material, so we can't use it all. Put the lid back on this so I don't accidentally get some blue shit in there. So this is 1 ounce worth of stuff. I damn sure don't want to put it all on my airplane. I don't know why I mixed that much. I'm only going to use 1/4 of it. I always mix more than I need anyway, but get this out of the way. Yeah, Craig, I guess maybe we need to send you some acid brushes. Except you got paint brushes now. You want to make sure this stuff is mixed real well. You don't want different colors in it. You want to get it to its light blue color, all creamy. This stuff here is going to dry fast because I got a little more than 50% of the white with the blue. You can tell by the color of it. Okay, we got this mixed up pretty good. Get the paper towel handy because I'm going to do this the old-fashioned way with finger rows. This is the second coat on this. And this will be the last coat. I'll put the paper on. There will be another coat, but this will be the last coat before the paper. Doing these fancy doodads has always been a lot of work, and yet if you're going to do something like this, it's best if you have done some body work, car body work in the past, because that's basically what we're doing here is car body work. Boy. I'm going to put some on the tail too. I don't recommend putting big fillets on an airplane. I think I said this the other night. Unless you're really skilled at shaping. These are so hard to do and make look right. You know, it'll take me a couple of settings of sanding, I'm sure. But they look so cool. See a little spot right there. Okay, got a little hole right there, but I'm not gonna monkey with it until the final coat. Okay, I want to come back to the back, and let's see here. I should be able to see what I'm doing here. See how much I've mixed and how much I've used. Mistake. Oh well. This is the tail post here. I'm going to get this in before I put the paper on it because I'm going to take the paper all the way back and cover the rudder. This is a step that's relatively hard to blend. Nothing's too difficult, but the reason why you don't want to put super fill on before the paper, as I've stated, it's harder than wood, even though it's soft. You want to harden up the balsa. We have fiberglass on the nose, so it's hard.
And you do what I do. I always mix up about 5 times more of that stuff than I need.
Better to have than
Yeah.
not need than need to not have.
Yeah, don't want to run out midstream, that's for sure. Those are looking really good.
You'll get one more coat.
Did you use some alcohol on it and wipe it down?
Not yet. Like my flap stair on her.
Yeah, that's nice. It beats the heck out of being on the floor all the time. Yep, I'm on the list. So,
You call them?
Yeah.
I don't need one.
I wasn't gonna buy you one anyway. See, I had to look at this. I had to make another stick because he stole my sanding stick the other day when he was over here.
Told you.
That's all right. It's just a piece of basswood with some sandpaper on it.
It just worked so good I had to have it.
Yeah, they do work good. They're nice. They're better than a paint stick because paint sticks are normally warped and all that stuff, you know, cupped and a little bit thicker. And it's just a piece of 3/32 inch basswood with some sticky back paper on it. Works great.
I think I need to smooth that out some.
One of the arsenal of 50,000 different little sanding devices that you
Where's the alcohol up there?
accumulate. I don't know, I had another bottle of that stuff that was under the table here, and I, for the life of me, can't find it.
I keep looking with this shot. It's probably where the forceps are.
Probably. I still have, you know, I've looked everywhere for them things. 2 or 3. I looked all over the garage, looked all the way in here. The shop ate them. It's one of them things. You never ever drop something or set something down. I know you have. You do it all the time at your place.
Yeah. Just poof, gone.
It's gone. Set it down, it disappears. I'm going to use this motor mount. I got to put these pads on it. So I'm ready to put these pads on it. Those are milled pads that I milled the other day. I think, didn't I give you a set of these pads that I milled up?
Yeah. I'm gonna bring over a couple pieces of titanium. You can mill them up like a set for you, a set for me. So, yeah, I don't know how much savings there is. What, a gram?
You know, you could use anything. You could use some fiberglass circuit board. You could use phenolic material. You could use.
I have used phenolic before.
I've used that. There's lots of different things that you could use on them. I don't know if I want to put some of them super. Um, 256 screws to hold that on with blind nuts.
I just use little wood
Or
screws.
little wood screws. Problem is I don't have really too many little wood screws. All it is just to keep them from falling off. The motor's bolted all the way through on. Problem is, yeah, the good little ones they got are. They're socket head cap screws and they're pan heads and they don't have very much screwing into that maple. You can't just strip them out.
Oh boy.
Wish I had some little servo screws. I don't know.
3 times as much as I need. 5 times as much as I need. God.
There's 2 small ones. I'm gonna look out and find 4 of them. There's 3 small ones. I might look out. I might. That's a different size. That's a different size. I like for all the screws to match, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't have to take out a Phillips for one screw and.
Straight slot for another.
Yeah.
Allen for the next one.
Yeah. Not that you ever take these out. I mean, you don't really never take them out. I don't anyway.
Only time you take them out is when an airplane hits the ground.
Yeah, yeah, you want to reuse the pad. At least they're all straight.
So that's the second coat on those. That looks decent. Let's get some back on the back of the stuff. Doesn't have much of a pot light when I mix it as hot as I did. I'll leave you this little mixing cup, John. It'll have superfill in it, but all you do is just squash it and it breaks right out.
Yeah, it's just an empty tape container, isn't
You got any of
it? No, I actually don't. I got some that's got screws in them.
I just mix epoxy in this, epoxy and superfill and whatever I need.
Yeah, they work good for that. It's amazing. You'd think it would stick in there, but
I don't know what it's made out of, but it don't stick.
slip the little boogers.
$80 ounces.
Yeah, keep piling that weight on there, that dead weight. Well, you're lucky. That superfill is exceptionally light. Gotta start thinking about lunch. It's after 1.
Yeah, this whole jar right here was an ounce.
The whole jar complete.
The whole,
Just with the superfill on it.
yeah.
And I'll be able to tell you after busting it out how much it weighs, huh?
Oh, man. I guess that's about all I'm gonna get on there until I get the fuselage tissued. You just set it up on the bench here and look at it and see if it needs any more, if it's low anywhere. It's just too much shit. Oh, I need to go back some more with it on this side. Yep, it'll take one more filling.
Yeah, you said 3.
pretty close. Still a little low. It's low right here, so you don't want to do it all at once. I mean, I could put a big old turd on there, but it might crack.
Yeah, you get it on too thick and it gets that exothermal or whatever that thing
It's the bando. What do you think? You think it's low right here?
is. Yeah, it's probably gonna be low. I wouldn't mess with it. I'd just go ahead. Actually, I'd put more in this side because this side's lower than that side. I'd put more in this side because you're real low right in this area, I think, compared to that one. You need it build up that much where that'll look all cupped out in there. That's not the look. Am I right?
Oh yeah. A little more bando.
Slathering it on there.
Yeah, I saw Wendy putting Bondo on his airplane.
Oh, I've used Bondo before years ago. Not the right thing to use, though. Bondo is way too heavy. This stuff is the absolute best. I've used all that stuff that's out there. Micro balloons and epoxy mixed to toothpaste stage, at least a toothpaste stage. Epoxylite, boy, that stuff was terrible. That stuff like sand and concrete. You better really put that on the way you want it because you're not going to sand it too much after it's on there. and it's brown and nasty looking color and texture, hard to work with.
I got pretty good at it, but like you say,
I never did. I got rid of it before I ever got good at it.
like you say, you better, if you're going to use it, you better be willing to sit there and babysit it until it's dry.
Yep. I had better luck with micro balloons and epoxy where I mixed it up with so much micro balloons in it that it sanded good. It sanded almost not quite as easy as
Micro balloons and
stuff.
Z-epoxy might work.
Yeah, I use finish cure epoxy because it dries, where it's not gummy. Man, I need a screwdriver that actually fits this.
Well, I'm not going to be able to get this side here. This stuff is starting to set up.
You must have mixed it pretty hot.
I mixed it hot because I didn't want it to take all day to dry.
Right there's one of them doohickeys that Universal Tool work great for about everything.
Yeah,
One of the best tools a guy can have in his toolbox.
most people don't know what the round part is for.
Oh, it's for cleaning out paint out of your rollers.
I know that. Okay, let's see if anybody said something. Does John have a color scheme yet? Hey, Chris.
Boy. Twix are for kids.
No, what's going to happen is I'm going to come over here and say, okay, John, sit down, and I'm going to lay it out, and we're going to paint it.
I'll have one here in the next week.
Is that a screwdriver?
I got 5 different kinds of screwdrivers. They've got an eyeball size head and it's real shallow.
Oh, because it's not a regular screwdriver.
No, I need a gun screwdriver, and I don't have one.
Need my snap-on screwdriver that I got in my little kit.
I'll get them though. It'll just be a little awkward at first.
Did you drill a pilot?
Yeah, oh, maple. I snapped them things up about halfway down in there.
It doesn't even look like a screwdriver. It looks like a straight piece of.
Well, it's been ravaged on the feet. Yeah, I drilled a pilot hole, the biggest one I could drill for that size hole. I probably should have put a little wax on that screw, would have helped tremendously. Or soap, old carpenter's trick. Put soap on the threads of your screws, especially when you're working with hardwoods.
Pity the fool who wants to take them out of there.
Okay, let's see how much weight I added to my airplane.
Mr. T,
How much weight did I add? Two-tenths. That's how many grams is a tenth? 12 grams.
only 20 grams in now, so
Oh, that's right.
28.3. .33 or whatever you want to.
Yeah, 0.2 is what I added.
0.2.
Yeah, what is that? 14 grams, right?
Not very much.
Gonna have to stay away from that. But it'll, most of it gets sanded back. A lot gets sanded back off. Let's see. That weighed 0.3. And I added it. It was 0.6, so that's 1.3, and it's 1.4. No, I only added 7 grams. Well, you do that 10 times, that's 70 grams.
Oh yeah, it adds up. Every little bit adds. You get on me for a lot less than that.
Yeah. Yeah, well, this is for the look. Gotta have the look. First thing you said when I got here is those aren't as big as the other ones.
Yep, first thing I said.
And why are they not as big? Less weight. And them other ones come way out here.
Yeah, they're huge. And that's a lot smaller airplane. You imagine what they'd be like scaled up on that thing?
Yeah, they'd be, man, that'd be a
Jesus.
That'd be a half of a quart. Super fill.
Yeah, a lot.
I figure that those are plenty big enough there. Give you the idea.
Oh yeah. Well, I got on the list. I'm happy about that.
You already sent him the money?
Yep. Done deal. Ow.
Pipe too?
No,
Muffler?
no. I gotta dispose of some things. I have to sell me some engines. I've got enough of them underneath there. I could get rid of about 20 of them. I heard it.
We've been on 2.5 hours. It's lunchtime.
That it is. I got one more screw to put in there, so let me get that one more.
We'd have started on time and we'd be at lunch by now.
Yeah. Yeah, but when we started at now 2 hours late.
Yeah, I was debating whether to go back and get the camera or not.
Well, you tried. All matters.
This baby's gonna turn on a dime. I think while I'm over here, I'm gonna fix that flap.
Yeah.
Use the saw to cut it out.
Fix the stuff that's hard to fix at home. I actually saw somebody that showed a ball link reamer. Everybody's complaining about ball links sticking. And you get them every now and then. Now you buy a bag of 10 or so many of them, probably about 3 or 4 of them will be sort of sticky in there. But if you take a ball link reamer, measure the ball, they come in different sizes. You can buy them from Hobby King. Pop that ball out of there and run that reamer, spin it around once or twice. Put the ball back in and check it. It only takes once or twice, and it just skims a little bit of plastic out of the inside of that cup. And I actually made one. And I took an old ball link and I cut a slot in and took my cutoff saw, my cutoff wheel on the Dremel tool and cut a slot in it. Made sure that was real sharp. And that's an actual ball out of the ball links that I use.
You know how you could make this adjustable?
I'm gonna make a nut for it that's got a wedge on it.
A little cone.
Yeah. That I can put down in there and adjust them. Now I think the ones you get from Hobby King, you can get them that are adjustable. It's not adjusting a lot. I mean, you're less than a piece of paper. It doesn't take much. I can tell you, helicopter guys do that a lot because they want their controls solid, but they want them floppy. And they don't want any kind of a bind whatsoever. And I don't know why guys are reluctant to do that because you put, even if popping that ball out of there makes that pocket a little loose on one side, you always put a washer on your bolt and that retains, it can't pop off then. And I've never had a problem with
I got a lock nut on the T-nut on this one. That's why I got the wart on it.
Yeah.
Because I ain't having that happen again like happened to me. And
Yeah. And it always catches you at the wrong time.
Always. Always, always. What are we missing over here? I'm missing. That doesn't go there. Side cutters.
All right, guys, we're going to go to lunch. We'll be back after lunch. And we got the right camera now, so that's not an issue. So we'll see you in about 45 minutes or to an hour.
Yep, we will be back.
See you.